Hello, 7AC here again with my favorite among Ed's models, the Axon. I have two to show you, the red one and a yellow one. The yellow one you've seen before. One of the reasons that I like the Axon is for FPV, and part of the reason that the Axon is one of my favorites is that everything's on the outside. It doesn't make for a clean aerodynamic airplane, but I'm in the early stages of FPV and I like to change things around and experiment. And the Axon's open access does the very best at providing that capability. It's pretty much a standard Axon. The width of the horizontal stabilizer here is 20 inches. It is 8 inches deep, which includes a 1 3/4 inch elevator back here. One thing you'll notice on both of these models that you don't see on Ed's is the bracing that I've added, just a little styrofoam between the horizontal and the vertical stabilizers. I found that with the tape covering and the wear and tear, most of it in the car, needed to brace the vertical tailplane. The vertical stabilizer is 9 inches tall. It's 6 inches from front to rear, plus 1 3/4 inch control surface at the rudder. The distance along the main tube from the tail to the deck house is 14 inches, which I think is pretty standard. This is Rob McKenzie's design, a 6-fold tube rather than a 4-fold tube. It gives a little extra support here in the middle. This Axon is equipped with a 5.8 gigahertz video transmitter, a $17 Hobby King board camera, and it also has an antique Nova OSD. The Nova OSD requires a infrared sensor to determine up from down. It's powered with a 3528 Turnigy electric motor, and it swings an 11-inch prop. It has a 7-inch cord wing with 1 3/4 inch. There's an extra tube in here from Ed's design, which is a 2-decker. It carries a 2200 milliamp LiPo and a 500 milliamp 3-cell LiPo that powers the video system. The LiPo, the 2200 milliamp one, weighs in at 181 grams. It's a good flyer, but recently I decided to go for a longer distance, or actually for more time. My distance is pretty well fixed. And so I designed what I call the heavy hauler, which is basically the same Axon. I don't have Rob McKenzie's 3-fold, actually 6-fold tube. This is a standard 2-inch tube that Ed uses, and it's a 3-decker again. It's 45 inches long, just like the yellow one, and the deck house tubes are each 15 inches long. It's got the equivalent of the same Turnigy 3528 motor. This one happens to be a E480 from Value Hobby, swinging the same 11-inch prop. The dimensions back on the tail are exactly the same, 20 inches wide, 9 inches high, and the distance from the vertical stabilizer to the deck house is 14 inches. Part of the reason, well no, the entire reason for going to the heavy hauler was this 4000 milliamp battery. The yellow Axon over here will give me about 12 to 15 minutes of flying time with the 2200 milliamp battery. The 4000 milliamp battery yields awfully close to 30 minutes of FPV flying. The setup FPV-wise is the same. It's got a 5.8 gigahertz video transmitter. There's the same $17 Hobby King board camera on it, and it's powered by a 500 milliamp 3-cell LiPo battery. It also has Nova OSD that employs a IR sensor. One thing that this model has on it that the other one doesn't is it has a GPS for telemetry used by the DR8-2 Plus receiver, the FreeSky receiver that I use on both of these two models. Primary to the design of this one is a wing that is 9 inches wide and 1 3/4 on the control surface, as I said. The increased chord in the wing meant that I couldn't cut off the deckhouse tubes, but I had to leave them in order to carry the additional weight, with the wing being wider. They both wings on both models mount about 3 inches from the end of the deckhouse. 15-inch long top deckhouse, I have the ability, if I choose, to move the wing farther forward. And that may be something that I want to do, because in addition to the 4,000 milliamp 3-cell battery, which weighs in at 279 grams versus the 181 on the 2,200 milliamp battery, I also have a 4-cell 4,000 milliamp battery, which weighs in at 441 grams that I may decide to use. And if that's the case, then in order to get my CG farther forward to handle the greater load forward, I'll have to move the wing forward. As you can see, both of these models feature landing gear for that much, to having to try to hand launch a model this big with that much weight. One thing that I did do on the red Axon that I didn't do on the yellow Axon, I moved the battery securing strap to the bottom. That way I can just tape it on and move it fore and aft depending on where the battery's sitting. That's about it. They both are good flying models. Again, the only reason for going with the wider chord and thereby keeping the full length of the deck houses is to move the CG forward to be able to carry more of the load. And with 4,000 milliamps, the model handles the weight just fine and gives me about 30 minutes of flying time. That's it. You folks have a good day. Talk to you later. Thank you. Bye.